Hey there, Mission. I'm Tim Brown from Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, and I want to invite you to join me on Commerce Conversation, the business, community, and innovation here in Mission, Texas, the official podcast of the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. You know, each episode we're bringing you exclusive interviews with local business leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers who are living right here in the Rio Grande Valley doing business here in Mission. They're driving innovation in our community. We will dive deep into the issues that matter to you, the business growth to community events and everything that comes in between. You can catch this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe. Never miss an episode. You miss one episode, you miss a lot, so don't miss an episode. We're excited to share the latest in business and community news with you. We'll see you on the Commerce Conversation. Happy New Year's and welcome to a new episode of Commerce Conversation, Business, Community, and Innovation, where we talk about businesses in the city of Mission. I'm your host, Tim Brown, Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, and today we'll be learning about our partners at the Mission EDC and how they are helping the business community with innovative programs, in addition to raising awareness about the resources available for your organization. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors for an upcoming event. We have the Buenas Tardes Luncheon coming up. Our title sponsor for that is going to be J&S Construction, but we also have some other sponsors. We've got Mission CISD, Texas National Bank, South Texas Health System, the Mission EDC, Mission Regional Medical Center, Bird Ogden, Mega Supply, Grande Produce, IBC Bank, Butylase Med Spa, Killam Development, PNC, Ocean Gate, Social Life, and the Lone Star National Bank. As you can see, there's a lot of excitement about the Buenas Tardes Luncheon. A lot of people are signing up to be sponsors. Give the Chamber a call and get some information about that. I want to thank you all for tuning in today, and whether you're a Chamber member or not, we are glad to have you as our listener. Today I'm joined by Teclo Garcia of the City of Mission EDC. He's the Chief Executive Officer. You know, Teclo and I, over the past year, more so than I think any other year, we've really built a relationship up. I so appreciate all that you do for this city. You know, Teclo, tell us a little bit about yourself. One thing I do think that's important to mention is your military service. So tell us a little about that.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. Obviously, I love being in Mission and working for the City Council and our board and the citizens of Mission. Really exciting times. But yes, my military service, that's part of my life. Some people ask me, hey, do you miss the Air Force? I miss a piece of just about all the things I've done. Yeah. And the Air Force has spent 6 years there. All the basic training for the Air Force goes through San Antonio. So I was in San Antonio. I was in Illinois. I was in England for 3 years. I was in Morocco for 6 months. In Africa, I was also in Arizona at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix, or Glendale, which is a suburb of Phoenix. So yeah, I did all that. I was an aircraft refueler, on the ground refueler, and deal with everything with fuel. So yeah, it was good. I liked it.
So obviously, the way I found out that you were in the Air Force is I went by your office and I touched all your memorabilia and played with everything and played with the planes.
All the planes I have there.
Yeah, but I had a great time. And you know, something I just learned today that we have in common is, you know, obviously some people know, but I write an article for a trade magazine, and you mentioned that you have a history or a background of newspapers.
Yeah, I was. I got into the Air Force to get my GI money, right? My GI Bill money to go to the college of, and so I did that. And I always wanted to be a journalist. And my thing is that I wanted to be a sports reporter. You know, what would be better than to get into games free and then get paid for it, right?
Great idea.
And so I did that and then became a news editor, and then an editor-in-chief, and I was the editor-in-chief of the Brownsville Herald for several years, and then I went out to Arizona, worked at the Monitor for a while, but then went out to Arizona, worked in Phoenix, and then got out to get into the public service.
And then you fell into some good fortune and ended up back here at Mission.
Yes, yeah. I worked in the city of McAllen for a while, then came to work at the Mission EDC.
Well, good. We're happy to have you. I'm glad the city of McAllen didn't keep you over there. We were able to snag you. That's exciting.
Yeah. No, they're good people, but I'm glad I'm here.
Well, good. Well, today's episode is going to be all about the great things that are happening here in the city of Mission. We're going to be exploring a little bit about community engagement and support for programs available. So, Teclo, tell me, obviously you had some career changes throughout your life. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about who or what inspired you to become part of the Mission EDC. And maybe you can describe what a typical day looks like for you, which I know is busy because I've been around you a lot, but what inspired you and what does your day look like?
Well, when I was doing government affairs, which was really all the legislative work a city would do, all the advocacy work in Austin and in D.C., met a guy close to 20 years ago by the name of Alex Mead. And once my tenure was up in McAllen, he said, hey, you got to come over here and help us. And so I owe him a lot for thinking of that and kind of shaping a job for me, and the board approving me coming over. So that was always a really fun time, and I always want to thank Alex for doing that. And of course, we did a lot of stuff together, so that was really, we did a couple of social media fests, we did all kinds of stuff. So it was great. So that was a little bit of inspiration for me. What are the day likes? Oh, man. I could just describe a day like today for you.
Well, what I imagine in my head is, because you're the EDC, is that y'all just walk around giving money. People, everyone's so excited to see you every day. It might be a little different than that, though.
Oh, man. Yeah. We do that a couple of times a year, and we do play it up, right? Because we're giving back to the community.
Yeah.
We're investing or reinvesting funds into missions businesses, right? And the small business especially. But, I mean, the day could, be anything, and I hardly spend any time in front of a computer. My day starts by having several meetings with staff members, or from City Hall, or especially business owners or folks that we're recruiting. I mean, this morning we had a phone call with a retail consultant that's helping us bring retail businesses to Mission. Also met with our real estate broker. We are on the phone call this morning with another company. Again, we met with other staff members about. I'm also the executive director of the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, or the Mission Redevelopment Authority. So we had a pre-meeting about today's board meeting. We went through our financials. I mean, this afternoon there's a special City Hall meeting at 3. We're doing this today. Had a lunch with a staff member to go over some goal setting, and then at 3 o'clock is the specially called meeting, and then at 4 o'clock is the tourist meeting, right? Okay. So, and
so other than that, you're not doing anything today.
And then we strategize for a really, I can't announce and talk about it too much here, but a really large company expansion into the region. And we talked about that one for about 45 minutes on what our approach was to help get them here.
And right? I'm sure that every day is exciting, but conversations like that with large companies that invested large money has got to be a little bit more exciting than some of the other projects you do.
Well, they can be, but really, I mean, you probably heard this, Tim, over time. The conversations are very similar. You just add zeros.
Yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
I mean, people still have needs and wants and desires and what they want you to do. Just some are more expensive than others, right? Yeah.
Got you. Okay. So you're the leader of the EDC.
Correct.
You're the CEO. So tell me, what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for the Mission EDC? Where are you leading them?
Right. So we like to work off of 3 pillars. And those 3 pillars are enhancing the workforce, creating opportunities for investment, right, and creating jobs. So opportunities, jobs, and workforce enhancement is what we work off of. And so using those pillars, we're moving forward by driving local expansions, creating opportunities for investment from outside and in Mission, right, recruiting businesses that can provide Mission real jobs, and sometimes recruiting companies that can create excitement and retail sales taxes, right? Yeah. Everybody wants a Cheesecake Factory. Everybody says, "Oh, we're a cheesecake." Okay, that's probably not going to happen.
For the record, my wife is voting for the Cheesecake Factory as well.
Yeah, everybody does. So that's part of our job. But really, even with more retail, and we recruit retail for 2 reasons, like I said, entertainment and excitement, but also, too, they produce a lot of sales taxes that goes into the city's general fund that provide monies for parks and police and other things. But creating jobs, first-tier jobs that are meaningful. For instance, bringing a manufacturer or expanding a logistics business. So that person or they can create jobs that make $15 to $25 an hour. So we're trying to maintain and expand that area so we can add real money to the economy. Not that retail service isn't, and we like it, and we're working with that side, but we're also concentrating on those meaningful kind of first-tier jobs that can really bring new money into Mission.
And looking at the workforce here in the Valley, not just Mission, but it has changed over the last 5 years. There's so many things in the Valley that are really high level that are coming in that me growing up here, I didn't imagine it was going to be like that.
I was at a manufacturing plant yesterday, took a tour, and they're doing metal stamping, right? And that's been around for a while. But now this company is looking to expand greatly, double their size, double the number of employment, and the jobs involved in there are really high-skilled technical jobs that people need to be ready for.
Yeah.
And those jobs pay $20 to $30 an hour, which is what we really need. I mean, there's nothing wrong with $15 or 12 or whatever, but if we can get to that level by increasing our educational attainment, increasing our skill levels, and then finding the employers to match, right?
Well, if you go up to the Detroit area, years ago, I mean, working in those factories, that was the job to have. And that's kind of what's happening here in the Valley, is that some of these manufacturing plants, those are really good jobs, and people look for those jobs. So that's really great. Sure. So let's move on a little bit. I know you told me you have another meeting after this, so I'll keep things moving.
No, we're good.
So my business, we've been around for 25 years, and this past year we were one of the recipients of the Ruby Red Venture grant. And so what that shows me is that you're not only trying to bring in new business, but you're also interested in, supporting the businesses that are existing here already. But there's got to be some sort of fine line. How do you balance the difference between bringing in new business, new money, and supporting those that are already in business? And let me give you a little background. And I say this often, but one of the reasons for this podcast is that we sit around this boardroom here at the Mission Chamber of Commerce, and people come in and they sign up to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce because they're a brand new business. They're excited, but next year they don't sign up because they're out of business. Yet, as you look at the people that are on this board, there's hundreds of years of experience here if you combine it. And so that was the thought process, is how do we get these people to understand that you have resources? And so tell us a little, how do you keep that fine balance between supporting the people that have been here and bringing in new business?
Yeah, it's interesting, it's difficult, but also fun. When I started 2.5 years ago, we looked at some of the programs that the Mission EDC had done before, and we kind of looked at what we thought provided the highest rate of return on those programs, and we kept those. And they were on pause mainly because of COVID. Right. Some of the programs just stopped, and my predecessor had to put a pause on some of those. But after everything cleared up, we just said, okay, how do we move forward? Okay, we're going to institute the programs that invest the most and can help small businesses the most in Mission. And so we looked at Ruby Red, right, which is Alex and Daniel started. Alex Mead and Daniel Silva started a long time ago. But we wanted to expand it or do like a 2.0. So we called it the Ruby Red Ventures Build Mission Fund, right? Okay. So we want to build Mission up and try to dedicate as much funds as possible to invest in small businesses, right? And then we partnered with UTRGV and the Kauffman Institute to do a competition, more like a Shark Tank competition, also for small businesses. And then we have our downtown program that also invests money into small businesses. So we're not just with these programs, we're not just invested into the small business, but we're invested in Mission, right? And the quality of life of Mission and the improvement, especially the downtown area where some business has been around for a really long time, but they just need some assistance, some help. So we wanted to make sure to do that, and I think we'd help this past year alone, we invested close to $600,000, and we probably helped 30-something businesses, right? And so we're really committed to that, and we thought that could counterbalance our efforts for the national retail chains and the manufacturers that we're trying to draw to town, right? At the end of the day, for Mission, the core of its tax base is small business, right? I mean, you can use the SBA definition of 500 employees or less.
You're right.
That's really big. We're talking about micro. We're talking
Right.
about self-proprietors, 5 employees, 10 employees, or maybe 30, and that's who we really concentrate on. But yeah, it is an interesting balance that we try to strike between the two. But it's important that Mission residents and Mission taxpayers know that we're here to help small businesses.
Yeah.
We also preclude those businesses receive funds to not receive funds the next year,
Right.
because we want to hit another round of
Yeah.
folks, right? And maybe they can come back 2 years later and reapply, but we want to spread the wealth as much as we can. But yeah, it's a fun, interesting tasks, and we've got a really good team from Belen Guerrero, our COO, to everyone else on the team. I mean, we really have bought into it, and you could tell people try really hard to do what we can to help Mission.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're talking about small businesses, and I wish I had the statistics, but my understanding is most people, and particularly in our community, but most people work for a small business. And that's what drives the economy is the small businesses.
Yeah.
There's not too many of these big employers out there. They're big employers, but the majority of our community works for a small business somewhere.
Yeah, Tim, you're pardon me for interrupting.
Go ahead.
No, Tim, you're involved in small businesses. You know a lot of small business people, and we often get comments from people say, "Hey, why are you helping small businesses? They're just going to fail." Yeah, most small businesses fail when they start out, especially as startups or whatever.
Right.
And hey, that's just part of the reality.
Yeah.
And it's not always someone's fault that a business fails. There are so many factors. Because the person didn't know what they're doing. Well, it could be that, or maybe their competition is too much for them. Maybe they couldn't get enough or the right people to help them.
Right.
Maybe there was some supply issue. Right. There's all kind of reasons, and it's very difficult for the small business owner to make it successful. We
Yeah, it
understand
is,
that.
and it's good for them to understand that the EDC. Not only is it just economic money that they could receive, but they could actually receive some training, and they could come in and ask, "Hey, what do you think about this?"
Yeah.
I've walked into the EDC a few times and asked some questions. It's amazing to me the amount of knowledge that sits in y'all's office over there.
And it's stuff that we've acquired, and we've seen how people do things right and what things people do wrong, and then we try to steer them the right way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yep.
Okay, so this is going to be a very hard question. All right.
Okay, let's
So
do it.
tell
Let's
us.
do it.
Well, and the reason is we just don't have all day, so be careful. All right. What are some recent success stories that are highlighted by the EDC's impact? And the reason it's hard is because there's so many success stories.
Yeah, I'll give you one that's a lot of fun to talk about. And you're right, there is a lot. There's a gentleman from Texas with roots in Mexico, but has lived in the U.S. almost his whole life. But he does a lot of business in Mexico. He's an entrepreneur. He's very creative, and he decided that one day, after having a conversation with a friend of his, that he was going to start building tiny homes.
Okay.
Right, out of shipping containers, right? And sure enough, he'd started. And somehow we came across him. We said, "This is a really novel idea. Is there anything we can do to help you?" And he says, "Well, yes. I need I really don't have the money right now, but I would like to have a roof cover for my employees' work to make these tiny homes because the sun's killing them."
Right.
And so we said, well, maybe there's something we can do. So we arranged some things and provided him a little bit of funding assistance to build that and buy some forklifts or something that he needed. And he is cranking out these tiny homes to contractors around the state.
Really?
Yes. And so he's shipping them primarily to East Texas, in the Houston area, north of Houston, for people who are doing transitional housing for homeless or man camps or whatever.
Wow.
And so he has shipping containers that get shipped from Houston to his facility here in Mission. He and his workers crank out right now I think their rate is at 1 a week, or maybe they've gotten to 3 a week. That was his goal, to produce 3 per week. and send them back to whoever ordered them, and then keep working on the next ones.
Who would have guessed that here in little tiny Mission, Texas, we're building man camps in East Texas?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the shipping containers have a set size. They're 8
Right.
feet by 40 feet. So the vast majority of his containers are being built into 2 homes because or 2 apartments because people
Okay.
really don't need the entire thing. If it's a man camp or a transitional home, they
Right.
just need a place to stay for the night or whatever.
Yeah.
So you get a bathtub and a bathroom, a shower, and then on the other side is a little like a tiny kitchenette, and then the bed, and that's it.
What a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was going to be hard, but you had a great success story right off the top. So, talking about educating people, tell us, in your opinion, how do you navigate economic uncertainties? And these are all things that are going on right now in our world. Economic uncertainties. You have inflation, which can go wild.
Yeah.
And you have market shifts. So, I walk into your office. What kind of advice do you give me when we talk about these type of situations? We talk about inflation. We talk about all these uncertainties.
Yeah. What we always tell people is let's figure out what's within our control, right? And what what factors can be mitigated that are around you. If you're thinking about inflation, well, what's your business? So it depends what the business is. How does that react to inflation? If you're a core service, kind of like in your business, right? That's not going to move, inflation or not, right? Grocery stores that sell core goods, people are continuing to buy those goods. If you're in retail or in apparel, then you're probably going to get impacted some way. So what can we do to help you? How can we point you in the right direction? Who are you dealing with? What is your biggest challenge, right? So there's a lot of factors like that we talk about. Right now, big talk is tariffs.
Yeah.
Right. What we've been doing is preaching patience with tariffs. Let's not freak out yet.
Don't worry until there's something to worry about, huh?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
people say things on campaign trails. They make promises or threats, and sometimes after they get into office, things aren't as bad as what they seem, or sometimes reality hits, and instead of 60% terrorists, that maybe there are a lot less than that.
Right.
But there's no denying, Tim, that we've had a lot of calls about that, and also we also had at least one project be put on hold, a multi-million-dollar project because of potential tariffs. I will say that 2 weeks ago, it's been characterized by everyone involved, and this was that President-elect Trump had a very positive, very productive call with Mexico's new president, and so we want to signal that as a good step in the right direction in that relationship.
Yeah.
So maybe we can mitigate some of the tariffs and other things that have been talked about.
Yeah, and so I think that's important too. Is that you mentioned people have been calling you. If you're worried about it or you want to know how to move forward, there's resources. Call.
Yeah,
let's
that's
sit
right.
down.
That's
And
right.
so I think that's one of the most important things there.
Yes, exactly.
So we spoke a little bit about some of the changing technologies and the trends here in the Valley. What are some of the things as far as trends and technologies that you see that are shaping the future of economic development right here in the Valley? What is the number one trend or technology that is shaping this? And obviously kind of the big elephant in the Valley is going to be like SpaceX. A lot of people talk about SpaceX, and I think from what I see, that even drifts all the way over here to the Mission
for sure,
area.
yeah.
But maybe that's not the biggest one. What is the biggest trend or technology that's shaping economic development?
Well, I think whether people know it or not, it's AI.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every manufacturer, large or small, schools, banks, right? Marketing services. People have to embrace it and learn how to use it to make it work for them.
Right.
It could be anything. It could be your ATM machine. It could be how you order something online.
Yeah.
It could be how you order your food. And then in addition to AI, there's automation, right? And automation is key, especially in the logistics and manufacturing sectors that we have here in Mission and the whole Valley. I visited a logistics plant in McAllen last year, and they had all the robots putting things up and taking them off shelves, just like you see on TV, right? But then there's people that have to know how to handle that, right?
Right.
And we have to upskill ourselves, right, in order to be able to handle those jobs. And those are coming more and more. It doesn't always mean that automation and AI are going to get rid of people. AI and automation also need operators and directors and supervisors. So we need to educate ourselves to get to that point where we're handling those instead of always calling Austin or Houston for that kind of help.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that. I mean, even in the public safety sector, and education, it could be on, people use AI and they don't even know it. The phone that's finishing off your sentences or is placing ads because you said a random word to somebody. I mean, that's all AI stuff.
Well, and you caught me off guard, which is pretty rare in these podcasts. So you caught me off guard when you said AI. Yeah. But we do this podcast, and I asked Candace, who kind of puts them together for us. I said, "How are you able to produce these so quick?" And one of her answers is AI does a lot of it. My social media that I do at the funeral home there, a lot of it is AI.
Yeah.
But even obituary writing now, it's to the point where we just put in a few little words and it can write the entire thing. But as you were speaking, I thought that is the biggest impact.
It is. It runs from finance to education to everything, just about everything we do. Someone said the other day, "Hey, Teclo, I wish you would bring back Code to Town that Alex and Daniel did back in the day, right?" And it was very groundbreaking, and it was bringing students in, and they were learning how to code and put things together and all that stuff. And I hate to say this, right? But we don't need to do that anymore.
It's obsolete now, huh? Yeah.
I mean, you can get someone. It's like unfortunately, it's like a cursive writing, right?
What is that? I'm not old enough to know about cursive. Tell me about it.
So, I mean, there's people that ought to know how to code, and they do know how to code. But for the vast majority of folks, you don't have to learn that. AI takes care of coding for you, right?
Yeah.
And so, cursive writing, probably AI does that too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, but it is important, Tim. You're right. Even in your industry, AI is very important.
Yeah. What an amazing time that we've had today, and I'm so glad that you came and sat down with us today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Kind of some of the takeaways, and one of the things that stands out most to me was actually on our first question. You talked about a key person that put you where you are today, that kind of guided you, and that was Alex Mead. And, my dad used to tell me if you see a turtle on a fence post, he didn't get there by himself. Someone
That's
helped
a good
him.
one.
And I'm grateful that you're able to say, Alex Mead helped me out, and I think all of us need to find that key person and say,
"Oh yeah,
show me where I'm going."
He's still helping me out, right?
Well, make sure he listens to our podcast so you can get a little credit. Maybe you'll get a Christmas gift or something out of it this year.
Sure.
All right, to everyone out there, thank you for listening to us today. We want to reconnect again next time to learn from other leaders here. We want to connect with you in the community here at the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. We believe that your success is our success, and so now we're going to have a word from our sponsors.
I'm Rafael Cano, General Manager at Cano Sons Trucking. Every day I witness the incredible synergy of our teams, the dedication of our drivers, and the trust our clients place in us. But it's not just about logistics and numbers. It's about people. Our team is our greatest asset, and I'm constantly inspired by the commitment and passion. At Cano Sons, we're more than just a trucking company. We're a family, driven by a shared purpose and a commitment to excellence. As we look to the future, I'm excited about the journey ahead. Our fleet is the heartbeat of our operations, but it's our drivers who truly drive our success. They're the ones out there, day in and day out, ensuring that we deliver a promise kept.
La familia Cano les agradece ser parte de este increíble sueño hecho realidad.
Here's to the many more miles and the memories ahead.
Again, thank you to Cano & Sons Trucking for all they do to take care of our community and the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to everyone for listening today to the Commerce Conversation, Business, Community, and Innovation. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Don't forget to follow the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce online for your next updates and for more content. We look forward to having you all join us again for our next episode. This has been Commerce Conversation, Business, Community, and Innovation, hosted by Tim Brown of Rick Brown Family Funeral Home, produced by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce, and edited by the Greater Mission Chamber of Commerce. We'll see you in the next episode.